Hi, I'm Ray Tanner, and LiveWire is coming. We have a wonderful series of guests today. We've got Kira Stowes and Jason Allen. They are from an organization called, what is it called? What is it called, guys?
SacTown Movie Buffs Film Fest.
Say it louder.
SacTown Movie Buffs.
You got it. You got it. SacTown Movie Buffs. And also then some folks from California Stage doing a play called The Yorkshire Tragedy. It's only 600 years old, and it's hot. So stay tuned for LiveWire right after this. Creativity. There's creativity everywhere in Sacramento. Thanks for tuning in. With me in the studio are a couple of people who have an organization that applauds filmmaking. And later in the show, we'll have some people who are from the live theater. So stay tuned. And we are here. And with me in the studio is Kira Stokes.
Stokes.
So, yeah, right. I told you.
Sorry.
So they've got,
Perfect before.
That's all right. So good. And Jason Alley.
Yes.
You two, you are the founder, and you were walking down the street one day, and you said, "I think I'll make a film festival in California. How about Sacramento?" What happened? How did you do that?
That's a great question. So Jason and I have been best friends for over 25 years, close to 30 now at this point,
it's
actually.
close to 30.
And so we've always had a passion for film, and we kind of minored in film in college, and we made film projects during college. And so we, at some point, started a podcast where we were doing basically as online critics, reviewing the latest and greatest, the biggest films that were coming out. And when we were doing that, we were getting inundated with emails and calls from individuals in the local community who were like, "I have a film. I'd love to have it on your show. I'd love for you guys to review the film." And because of time constraint, we just couldn't get to everybody at that particular time. And so I thought of the idea. I was like, well, why don't we just have a film festival here in Sacramento where all these great creative filmmakers can submit, and then we can do the festival from that point, and then they have an opportunity to showcase their film on the big screen. And that's basically what it stemmed from.
And this is when was this in terms of years?
So we started our podcast right around probably right around COVID, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of COVID.
Right at
so
that
like
good old
February,
time.
Yeah, like February 2020, thereabouts.
Yeah.
And things have been changing in the film community here over the last 10 years.
Right.
Really changing so that it allows for this kind of thing to happen and people to come to see your work.
Absolutely.
And when is this going to happen?
So we have two events. So we have one event that's going to be on April 15th, and that's going to be at the Big Sexy Brewery. So that's going to be a mixer for basically all of the filmmakers, and anyone in the local community
Got
can
it
go.
up on the screen from 6 to 8 p.m.
Yeah, from 6 to 8 p.m. And then the actual festival itself, it'll be this Sunday, April 16th, at the IMAX Theater downtown. And that's going to be from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Basically, it's an all-day event.
All day.
That's great. Can you tell us how do you pick these things? People come in and say, "Here's a couple of bucks, put my show on."
Yeah. I wish it was that easy. So we use a platform. It's called Film Freeway, where basically any filmmaker throughout the country can basically submit their film to a platform to hundreds and thousands of festivals all over the country and actually all over the globe. And so anyone that wants to submit to our film festival would submit through that platform, and then it was kind of our job to basically go through roughly 100 or so films.
100 or so
Yeah,
films.
and weed down to the ones that we really, really liked.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to look at a little bit of these films in just a minute. Before I got some more information.
Right.
More information. So folks can they show up. Is there like a pre-event thing? Can you go a little early and?
Well, I mean, we'll be there all day,
I see.
and so there's different blocks for different categories of films. So, early in the morning, it's going to be kind of more animation, shorter films, short documentaries, and then towards the afternoon and dipping into the evening, there'll be more feature-length films.
I see.
So you could basically, look on our website or look at the showcase of films, and if you're interested in seeing short documentaries, okay, well, that's going to be at 12 o'clock. And you can show up and watch the short documentaries, or you can stay for the whole day and watch all 18 films.
Wow.
Yeah, they range from just a couple of minutes, right, to about an hour and a half.
Yeah, some of them are as short as, the shortest one I have, I think it's like 2 minutes and 45 seconds or something of that nature, and the longest we have is about an hour and a half. So.
Well, I saw some of the things we're going to look at, and the talent is amazing.
Yeah, there's some really, really good talent here in Sacramento and abroad as far as filmmaking goes, acting, all hosts. And some of these people, I believe, may have some ties to Access Sacramento as well. So
Fantastic. So SacTown Movie Buffs Film Festival, it's going to be, your first bit is at the Brewery Company, and then it's at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
That's correct.
Which is a very lovely theater.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites for watching, especially showcasing, because it's a giant screen. So that's what I really love about it.
Good. So so you're putting on this festival. It must take a lot of work during the year, right?
Yeah, I've probably aged about 15 years in the last year trying to get this thing off the ground. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of watching the films, a lot of networking, a lot of talking with individuals, a lot of back and forths and trying to find sponsors and things of this nature. So it's been a long process that we're still doing a little bit of behind the scenes work on up to the gun. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
What's really interesting is that there must be a criteria that you use to look at 100 films, a set of criteria. I mean, like artistic quality, believability, funniness.
Yeah. Well, I think our background and our love for film, and then our background in film making and watching, I guess, as critics, it kind of helps a little bit. And I usually can tell right away whether it's something that I'm going to be interested in. And so usually I'll watch something, and there's some I know within like the first minute, I'm like, this isn't going to be for us. And then there are others where it's like, I don't know, but let's see where this goes. And so sometimes I end up watching the whole movie, and then I have to make a decision like, did I like that or did I not like that? I don't know. So
because you do have a day job, right?
Yeah.
You can't watch submissions 24 hours a day.
Right.
Funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, should we watch it? Should we watch this? Let's watch our piece, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit
absolutely.
after.
Yeah,
These are
absolutely.
3 pieces from the upcoming show, right?
Yeah, so these will be the 3 feature films that we're showcasing, that individuals that are coming to the festival will actually get to vote on the winner on this one. So we didn't actually pick a winner for this category.
Okay, all right. Well, so folks that are backstage, let's watch these 3 films from the SacTown Movie Buffs Film Festival.
You got this, Valentine?
No problem. Somebody's got to win this bout. Who's the cutie at the bar?
I feel like I know you from somewhere.
I'm your biggest fan. You're always my funny Valentine.
I want you turning into the next Sarah Larson or something.
Just a game, Vicky.
You can't leave.
Seriously think you can win this game single-handedly?
Let's give the people what they want.
I never got to have the camp experience like you did. And when we went to camp the last year, we only were there for a few days until they sent us home, and no one told us why.
Hi!
Hi, Heather.
I can't believe you did all this. What made you do it?
I just thought it'd be fun, and it'd be cool to finish something that we couldn't finish before. Let's do this.
You were wondering why your camp was cut short all those years ago? I'll tell you why. That girl disappeared into thin air.
Don't mind him. He's just trying to scare you.
This campground was built around what's known in mythology as a nexus of evil.
None of
us are getting out of here alive.
Just a fill.
Don't whine.
Unless there's time for a gel. Could she do a gel dip? Can she do it?
Amy! There she is! Amy!
How much is this?
It's $1.
Yes, just a fill.
How much is this?
It's $1.
Gel dip.
How much is this?
It's $1. It's gonna be $4. I have an inoperable brain tumor. It's crazy.
The reality is, the real Amy died when Dad did. Why don't you actually live a little with the time you have left? What you need is a list!
Picked the wrong day to me.
Years of Spanish, the nerve. What are you doing?
I'm doing what everyone wishes they could do.
You're better than this.
She might be better than this, but I'm not.
Oh my God!
We're gonna get Dad's money back, okay? Focus, okay?
You're bluffing. You don't have the balls.
No, actually, you don't have the balls. So, landing in jail wasn't how I planned to spend my last day on Earth. Or was it?
If you just tuned in, you were watching that. Those are clips from the upcoming movie festival called the Movie Buffs Fest, SacTown Movie Buffs Festival. And with me in the studio are Kier Stows, I got it right this time, and Jason
Alley.
Alley.
Yeah, with Y.
You got it right this time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks, guys. Those are really wonderful. And those are three of your picks for the
For the feature, yeah, for our feature
films.
film selection. So yeah,
So we have to say when it is.
Yeah, so it's April 16th at the IMAX Theater from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And those three films will be in our afternoon block, so they'll start about 3:30. And so they could show up at 3:30 and watch all three of those films, or they could show up earlier and watch all the films all day long.
And people can vote on the winner.
Yeah, and those three films you can vote on the winner. So the ones from early in the morning are shorter films. We've already selected winners, but those three we're asking for audience participation and to help us decide which is the best of the three.
Thank you both for coming. I really appreciate it and talking about your film festival.
Absolutely.
Looks good and looks like you're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a short pause for the cause, and we'll be back with some guests from the California Stage Theater Company.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
For For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
We're back with LiveWire, and with me in the studio are Amy Crane and Stephen Crane. They are working on a project that is really interesting. It is, how can you put it? There are plays, you know, we always think about Shakespeare, and I guess tell me how these plays were part of Shakespeare or what?
You know, Shakespeare is largely a mystery to us. I mean, we really know only bits and pieces about his life and his career. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we don't even know the identity of the famous Dark Lady of the Sonnets. And in the course of things, both during his life and a little bit after, a number of plays got mixed into the Shakespeare canon. And we also know that some plays got lost. What we're trying to do is to bring the lost plays that have been rediscovered to audiences here in Sacramento. Yeah. And I think it validates the plays. It also, I think, lends a new light on some of Shakespeare's successes and failures, because Shakespeare did have failures. I mean, I think we tend to think of him like, you know, Neil Simon or somebody who, you know, just did play after play after play all on Broadway. Well, no, Shakespeare wrote some plays that were put in drawers and left there.
Wow, fantastic. And I remember there was 36, and now there's something like 38 that are truly accepted through the use of computer analysis.
Yeah.
I was told. And Amy, you walked down the street one day and said, "I love William Shakespeare's work."
Well, actually, I love Stephen Crane first.
Oh, okay.
We've been married for 27 years. I've learned a lot about Shakespeare in the time we've been together, and when he expressed interest in doing this project, I said, sure, I'd love to be part of it.
Of course, this is good.
Thank you.
That's good. You saw it here first, or second or third, whatever.
Shakespeare's been with us since our first date.
Yes.
I see. Yes. Well, tell me so about this one play. This sounds like there are a number of plays that were part of the lost Shakespeare plays.
Yes. Well, in particular, there are 7 plays that were included in the second folio of Shakespeare. The first folio was published right at the end of Shakespeare's life, and it included, I believe, 36 plays that were recognized as being primarily Shakespeare's work. And there's a fallacy in that. You know, I think a lot of people want to imagine that Shakespeare worked in a garret all by himself and was creating these plays alone, and that this is the work of one genius. Well, Shakespeare was a genius. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But it was not just his work. We see the footprints, if you will, of the greatest actors of the age who happened to work with Shakespeare, and possibly even some other playwrights. Some of the comics, they were in there pitching to Shakespeare at the same time he was doing his stuff. So when you look at one of Shakespeare's plays, it's not necessarily Shakespeare alone. I think there are a couple that are. The Tempest, I think, was pure Shakespeare. But when you look at something like even Romeo and Juliet, a professor at Berkeley ran Romeo and Juliet through the computer, and this is back in the early days of computers, and discovered that the Queen Mab speech was almost certainly not written by Shakespeare. And that just floors you. I mean, anybody who's been a freshman in high school has probably read the Queen Mab speech, you think of it as quintessential Shakespeare. Well, it probably was somebody else.
Probably, yeah.
But there are 7 plays that were included in the second, third, and fourth folios that were not Shakespeare's, or at least not entirely Shakespeare's, and were primarily the work of other playwrights. The first one we're doing this year is a play called A Yorkshire Tragedy. And it's recognized today as largely being the work of a playwright named Thomas Middleton. And it is nowhere near as good in many ways as much of Shakespeare's work. It's very different in many ways. It's much shorter. Whereas Shakespeare's plays tend to be 5 acts, A Yorkshire Tragedy is 3 acts. And even more than that, you don't see the artistry that you find in most of Shakespeare's plays.
You mean in the language?
In the language, in the setup of the scenes. I find that in most of Shakespeare's plays, when there's an important piece of exposition, some information that has to be gotten out there, he will make sure that it is expressed 3 times.
I see.
In A Yorkshire Tragedy, you're kind of lucky if you get it once.
I see.
And so it is not the brilliantly crafted work that you see in most of Shakespeare's plays. Shakespeare's in there, though. I think one of the greatest scenes in A Yorkshire Tragedy, the husband, who is the main character in this play.
What's it about? It's about a husband and a wife and their fights?
It is. It's primarily about a husband who is melting down. And I think one of the reasons to look at this play is it is a story of a tragedy that occurs today, where a husband has gotten himself into a terrible bind. He has gambled away his family's fortune, and more than just his family's fortune. He has gambled to the extent that he's gotten his family into debt and really ruined them. And they were an upper-class family. And he becomes so desperate and so desperately ashamed, and even more than that, afraid of shame, that he takes violent action.
I see.
And actually ends up killing several members of his family. And I think we all know that's a story that takes place all too often.
Was this based on a true story for
It
these
is.
times?
It was, and that's another interesting thing. Shakespeare's plays tend to be either based on legend, myth, or history that took place sometime in the past. This was a hot topic. This was something that happened a year before the play was written. And so it's kind of like our true crime podcasts that are so popular today.
Oh, yes.
And the audiences apparently were very, very interested, which is understandable, because this was, in effect, news from a different part, obviously from Yorkshire, not from London. But it's a powerful play, despite not necessarily being as well crafted as most of Shakespeare's work.
And I also noticed on your literature that you're doing some other events that are around this. The visit to the second Shakespeare folio just means the size of the book, right?
It does. In this case, Shakespeare's plays were published in folios, so a folio-size work. And Sacramento's main library actually has a very rare copy of the second folio. And legend is that it belonged to one of Shakespeare's best friends.
I see.
And it's just a real treasure that most Sacramentans don't know about. I didn't know about it until I heard about it.
I didn't even know they had a rare book room for a long time.
Well, this goes beyond rare to ultra rare.
Yeah, ultra rare.
And very, very interesting and desirable. It's a piece of treasure in our library.
So the theater company is developing imagery around something that most people don't know that we have, this gem of history.
That's true. And we have, as part of our various events, a trip to the library on April the 18th, where at 1 o'clock people will gather and have a chance to actually see this folio. They're going to bring it out and...
We have 2 minutes.
Oh!
So you have to tell us about that next event.
Okay. The next event is the next night, and that is a talk delivered by a minor Shakespeare scholar on the Englishes of William Shakespeare.
Whoa.
The language
Okay.
is...
And that's what to see. Oh, there it is on the Wilkerson Theater.
Yes.
On Wednesday, April 19th. Wow. Yes. So people can just contact californiastage.org
yes.
and get the information.
And I think there's a phone number they can call too to reserve tickets.
Okay.
But then we're also going to be doing in May A True History of Sir John Oldcastle, which is a play which is recognized as having been an early sort of lost work of Shakespeare.
Wow.
And was the impetus behind his creation of the character of Sir John Falstaff.
Wow. Well, thank you both for coming. I really appreciate that. I have to announce something here that comes from my boss. It says, a place called Sacramento, the cast and crew call is coming. This is for the making of introducing filmmakers to Access Sacramento's projects were based on stories written in and about the area of Sacramento, and you can take part in this. You can be an actor or a director or what have you. So contact Access Sacramento. Just jump on their website, Access Sacramento. And thank you both for coming to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wish you well on your Shakespearean events.
We hope we'll see you all there.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, we're back with LiveWire with all kinds of wonderful information about your life in Sacramento.
Thank you.